Once known for having the largest stockpile of weapons since World War II, Russia built its global reputation and revenue through arms exports, which were second only to its energy sector. But that dominance is crumbling fast. Since the invasion of Ukraine, Russia's weapon sales have collapsed by a staggering 92%, plunging from $14.6 billion in 2021 to less than $1 billion in 2024. So what's behind this dramatic fall? Let's take a closer look. Since the launch of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the vulnerabilities in its military hardware have become increasingly evident. What was once perceived as an intimidating war machine has now shown repeated signs of tactical failure and systemic weakness. Ukrainian forces, armed with Western-supplied precision weapons and increasingly sophisticated domestically produced drones, have effectively dismantled some of Russia's most expensive and hard-to-replace systems. By January 2025, Ukrainian reports estimated that Russian military hardware losses had surpassed 20,000 units. This unprecedented level of attrition has not only shaken the Kremlin's battlefield posture, but also severely damaged the long-cultivated image of Russian military superiority. The degradation of Russian air and naval capabilities has been particularly telling. By October 2024, Ukrainian forces had successfully destroyed 982 Russian anti-aircraft systems and rendered nearly half of the Black Sea Fleet inoperable. Around 30 out of 80 vessels were destroyed, and 15 others were damaged beyond immediate use. Furthermore, by February 2024, Ukraine reported the downing of 342 Russian aircraft and 325 helicopters. These numbers reveal not only effective Ukrainian resistance, but also a systemic overestimation of Russia's own capabilities. Western sanctions have further intensified the decline of Russia's defense industry. In response to the invasion, sweeping sanctions have targeted the country's ability to procure high-tech components, crippling its capacity to replace or upgrade military hardware. As a result, Moscow's defense production has suffered delays, increased costs, and a growing reliance on outdated technology. These material challenges, combined with heavy battlefield losses, have undermined international confidence in Russia as a dependable arms supplier. Once a major player in the global arms trade, Russia has seen its defense export market rapidly shrink. In 2019, it maintained active defense partnerships with 31 countries. By 2024, that number had dwindled to just 12, as buyers shift toward more reliable Western alternatives or enhance their domestic industries to reduce dependency. Russia's military has suffered enormous equipment losses since the beginning of the full-scale war in Ukraine. According to the open-source intelligence site Oryx, Russia has lost at least 3,773 tanks, 1,933 armored fighting vehicles, 5,531 infantry fighting vehicles, 615 armored personnel carriers, nearly 2,000 artillery systems of various types, and many other pieces of equipment. These numbers only include losses confirmed through photos or videos, so the real figures are likely much higher. In response, Russian weapons manufacturers have been working overtime to replace the losses. Moscow has also turned to its aging Soviet-era stockpiles, but military analysts say these reserves are nearly exhausted. By early 2025, Russia may no longer be able to rely on its stored legacy systems to continue the war. Although Russia's official data is viewed with suspicion, military production did increase significantly in 2023 due to heavy domestic demand. Two of the country's largest defense companies, Rostec and the Tactical Missiles Corporation, reported a combined 40% rise in revenue during that year. However, this surge is unlikely to last. Western sanctions have placed major pressure on Russia's defense industry. Companies are facing labor shortages, rising costs, and severe difficulties in sourcing the key components they need. This marks a serious turning point for Russia's position in the global arms market. Once seen as a reliable exporter, second only to the United States, Russia is now losing credibility and customers. As we discussed earlier, by 2024, Russia's list of arms export customers had significantly shrunk. Many traditional buyers are now shifting to more reliable Western alternatives or investing in their own domestic defense industries to reduce dependence on Russian equipment. One prominent example is India, which is moving forward with its Make in India initiative. The program aims to modernize local defense production while reducing reliance on Russian military hardware. India is actively upgrading its military systems to align with Western standards. For example, the country is standardizing its heavy artillery to use 155mm shells, matching what most NATO countries use. The Defense Research and Development Organization is leading this effort with the development of the Advanced Towed Artillery Gun System. This system is designed to replace the outdated Soviet-era M46 100 and 30mm guns. India is also expanding its fleet of drones, moving away from older models and turning to modern Western-built UAVs. In October 2024, India signed a deal with the United States to purchase the 31 MQ-9 Reaper drones. This will make India the largest MQ-9 operator outside of the United States. Although India still operates Russian T-90 tanks, which have been rebranded domestically as the T-90 Bhishma, these vehicles have shown serious weaknesses during the war in Ukraine. On the other hand, Western main battle tanks like the Leopard 2, the M1 Abrams, and the Challenger 2 have consistently delivered better results. They offer improved armor protection, stronger firepower, and better survivability in modern combat scenarios. The rapid decline of Russia's global arms exports marks a turning point in the international defense market. Once considered a major player after the United States, Moscow is now struggling to maintain its relevance. Battlefield losses, international sanctions, and a growing reputation for unreliable equipment have pushed many countries to seek alternatives. From drones to tanks and air defense systems, Russia's inability to deliver dependable weapons has damaged its credibility, not only as a seller but also as a military power. As Ukraine continues to expose the weaknesses of Russian hardware, and as former clients pivot toward Western suppliers or boost their own production, Russia's isolation in the global arms trade is likely to deepen. The post-Ukraine war era may well be remembered as the moment when the myth of Russian military dominance finally unraveled. For Moscow, the path to recovery will be long and uncertain, if it ever comes at all.